The James Show Podcast.
If you're just joining us, we were having fun with some viral videos where a guy got fired for being a ghoul about Charlie Kirk. And
I made some stupid comments about Charlie Kirk on the day that he was shot. I said some things on Blue Sky and on Threads that I'm sorry, not sorry for, but I said them, and
dude, in your apology, don't say you're sorry, not sorry for it, because he's telling you he's not sorry. He still holds those views, even after he lost his job. Isn't that wild? Now, for my next viral video that's kind of along the same conversation here, all you people on hold, hang on a second. You need to get the definition of the term bigotry or bigot, right? The state of mind of a bigot, obstinate and unreasoning attachment of one's own belief and opinions with narrow-minded tolerance of beliefs opposed to them. That's bigotry. If you want to just look up bigot, one who is strongly partial to one's own group, religion, race, or politics, and is intolerant of those who differ. So would you say you're bigoted about Charlie Kirk, sir? So with that, let me play you the next one. This is, look, it's a cute little girl. She looks like she's maybe 20. She's actually very pretty, which sort of makes her a sympathetic figure until she opens her mouth. She's not a waitress anymore.
You know, there's one thing about me as a server. If you come into my job with a MAGA hat on, you can leave. Get out. We don't serve your kind here. Y'all want to be racist so bad? Okay, let me discriminate against you. And if somebody else gets to them before I do, oh, best believe I'm spilling your drinks, your food, your hot-ass ramen all over you. You're going to leave here with third-degree burns, bitch. Get the out of my restaurant.
That's what a bigot is. If you find out someone disagrees with you politically and you're just completely intolerant, you can't even serve them ramen noodles, you're the bigot. You're the bad guy. You know, I like to think when I was a server, it didn't matter who you were. You could have been a communist, a socialist, a free market capitalist pig. I didn't care. You're going to get good service. And why does that even factor into your brain? Oh, that's right. Because they really do think you're literally Hitler. Bro, if you're refusing to serve people at the lunch counter based on, their ideology, your ideology is telling you can't even do business with these people. We don't like your kind around here, boy. Bro, that's what Democrats were doing up until the civil rights movement squashed that. Did you hear the beginning of that? Why we don't serve your kind around here? That's wild.
You know what? There's one thing about me as a server. If you come into my job with a MAGA hat on, you can leave. Get out. We don't serve your kind here.
Yeah, we don't serve your kind here. What is this, Mississippi Burning? Are we watching? What was that movie, The Green Book? Remember The Green Book? You're one of the racists in The Green Book. You're one of the, well, they were Democrats in The Green Book too. Boy, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. Look, Mom, Democrats are refusing to serve people at lunch counters again. Steve and Keller, you're on WBAP.
Hi, James. I was just thinking about that last clown that called and said, just think about it. That guy clearly has never been in management. You can't, as a member of management, say many things without literally putting your job in jeopardy. And what's free speech? Nobody can say the N-word anymore unless you're black. There's all sorts of situations where free speech is limited by, it's not limited by the law, but it's limited by tact. And if people can't understand that, you can be fired for being untactful or for being gross, like that guy you gave the example of. And that girl there, obviously, you don't even have to go any further on that. The stupidity just reeks off those people.
Well, the thing I find...
I sound like a bigot.
Well, the thing that I found so amusing about that guy is he acted like he was throwing the ace of spades at me. It's like, just think real hard, boy. Yeah, I'm thinking real hard. What's your point? What do you think I don't... You tell me your point. This is not the checkmate you think it is, sir.
Stephen King said that there's no limit to the depth of the well of human stupidity, and that gets proven every day.
Oh, man, why are you quoting Stephen King? That might be the worst guy. Great author, though. I love his books. John in Dallas, you're on WBAP.
Hey, James. I just love how this DEI guy, he doesn't feel like he needs to be held accountable for anything he says. And freedom of speech is a great argument, but don't forget, you're not free from repercussions from the things that you say. That's all I've got.
Well, yeah, and freedom of speech means the government can't charge you with a crime or, punish you in that way for your speech. You can't outlaw freedom of speech is like when you say something against the king and it gets you arrested. And, you've seen that in other countries. And really in the context of when the Constitution was written, that was a thing. You couldn't speak out against King George III, or you could be arrested and thrown in prison. And it wasn't just an England thing. That was going on in the French Revolution. And pretty much when the whole world was run by kings and kingdoms, that was sort of a normal detail that came right along with the tyranny of a monarchy. Is you can't run your mouth negatively about the king without them coming and troops coming into your house and throwing you in jail. But I mean, what a silly argument. Just think real hard about that. What? Freedom of speech. Really? Because if I said the N-word and I got fired, do you think Henry would come to my defense? Oh, what's the matter, you guys? Freedom of speech. You can say whatever he wants. No, you'd be celebrating a bigot losing his job. Now, you would think, since the election happened and we've had all this terrible stuff, all this fascism and Gestapo and deportations and targeting children and brown people and evil and whatever the heck else, just the constant barrage of negativity that's being thrown at this guy. Certainly, he would be damaged in the polls now that he's actually had to govern for almost a whole year. Well, let's go check in with Harry Enton. He's the pollster over at CNN, and he's got nothing but good news.
You go back to October of 2024, 44% of the American public viewed him favorably. Now, despite everything, look at this, 43%, which is well within the margin of error of that 44%. And here's the thing to keep in mind. This was good enough to get Trump reelected back in 2024. And Donald Trump is basically at the same point here right now, which I think would surprise a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks on the left who very much disagree with a lot of what Donald Trump has done.
But what do you see is underneath that and driving that? Why is he basically the same?
Okay, to quote the esteemed caller Dennis Green, the former head coach in the National Football League, Donald Trump is who the voters thought he was. What are we talking about here? Well, is Trump doing what he promised in the 2024 campaign? Yes, 52%. The majority of Americans say that Donald Trump is doing what he promised compared to 48% who said no. So what essentially is going on here is the voters expected all of this from Donald Trump. The majority did, and that is why his favorable rating, simply put, has not really moved all that much compared to where it was a year ago. Trump is basically doing what the American people thought that he was going to do. Indeed, if you look at the numbers, Trump has basically the steadiest favorable rating this much through a presidency of any president on record, and it's basically where he was a year ago, good enough to get him reelected.
That's pretty good. It doesn't really get better than that, does it? What a body slam that is. Because look, it's kind of hard to separate the guy's personality from his politics. But I mean, that's something I have to do because as much as I disagree with most of what the Democrat Party wants to do, I really disagree with more than half of what the Republican Party wants to do. And by de facto correlation, Trump itself, I didn't support the big, beautiful bill. I didn't support the continuing resolution they did in January. I don't support the continuing resolution they're doing now. I don't support the GOP, the current budget that's on the table. I don't like the blowing up of cartel boats. I think all drugs should be legal, and this is a stupid fight it's whatever. I have plenty of criticism for this guy on policy, but he's not evil. He's not a Nazi. He's not literally Hitler. And, it almost makes him a sympathetic figure to people like me who would otherwise, be more oppositional to Trump. I almost feel like defending this guy because when they're saying that kind of stuff about him, they're saying that stuff about you and me too. Either we are actively fascist and Nazis and literally Hitler, or we're so dumb we're duped by a guy who has us fooled into not being able to see that he's literally Hitler. But let me give you a sample here. The Prime Minister of Canada, I don't know what his name is, Igluson or something. I forgot. It's the new guy. I'll learn it eventually. But there was a little press conference there. They had a meeting and they were doing the thing where they're in that yellow room where they're sitting in chairs and Trump's doing the diamond around his junk. You know what I'm talking about? The finger diamond? He does the finger diamond on his junk. Garrett, is that a universally known? Go look at it sometime. He does that every time he's in one of those chairs. He does the man spreading and then does the junk diamond. So they're taking some questions from reporters after a statement, and he's talking about how much he likes this guy and he's a great man. And then the reporter claps back, well, if he's such a great man, then why don't you cut a deal with him?
He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator. So
what's holding things up? If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too. Thank you very much. Thank you. That could have been good. I think you got that one. That could have been good. Thank you very much.
Dude, if you can't see that moment of levity and smile a little bit and think, well, that was pretty good, you're just a lost person. You are so just ate up with hatred. And really, you've been brainwashed to hate this guy. He is a funny guy. He does have a pleasant personality. Again, I can separate the two. I don't support most of his policies, but he's not evil. He seems like a nice guy. If he was your friend, he'd probably be one of your best friends in the world. I'd like to have a beer with the guy. I'd like to hang out with him. But did you hear how, for 15 seconds, a room of reporters, most of whom are antithetical to this guy, they had to give him some credit there. They all laughed. And in fact, it's kind of hard to hear, but the Prime Minister of Canada was, you got to admit, you got him on that one. That's what he said to him. Here, just listen to when everyone's laughing and see if you can hear the new Canadian Prime Minister say that part.
He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator.
So what's holding things up? If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too. Thank you very much. Thank you. That could have been good. I think you got that one. That could have been good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, did you hear that? I think you got him on that one. Wasn't that a good moment? We should share more moments like that. MSNBC doesn't want you to see that. CNN doesn't want you to see that. ABC, CBS, NBC, they don't want you to see that because you might think, oh, well, that's not what Hitler would say. Hitler wouldn't have the whole room laughing in stitches, saying nice things about our northerly neighbor there. No, that would humanize the guy. That would make him not just a sympathetic figure, but a human figure. And he's supposed to be nothing but an object of hate. How can we get waitresses to refuse to do business with MAGA patrons if she sees that their titular head is actually a pretty funny, likable guy? How can they have guys that are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk get fired, and then still saying, I found joy in it, if they actually see that the guy at the top isn't really evil? He isn't really some foaming at the mouth, rabid racist that's just picking on minorities for sport. God forbid we humanize the guy and make him look like a decent human being. The propaganda is strong with these people. The Baltimore mayor came out, and this is a new guy. I've never seen him before. But he said something that's just gonna, I don't know. These people are so disappointing. How you and I are trying to have real conversations and really get to the bottom of the issues. Like, what's going on with crime in the inner cities? And you and I will say, well, look, one of the things you can point at is the lack of fathers in the home. If a child is brought up in a single mother home, they're 20 times more likely to end up in prison, which is, another way to say they're 20 times more likely to grow up and be a criminal. So 20 times. So for every 20 people that are born and they have their father, they got one. For every one of those, there's 20 times the amount if you take the sort of per capita ratio of kids who weren't born and raised by their biological mother and father. That seems to be a pretty crucial sticking point. But for some people, it's like the old Tootsie Roll commercial. Whatever it is I think I see becomes a Tootsie Roll to me. Whatever it is they think they see becomes a racism to them. Baltimore mayor, take it away.
It is really on my heart this morning to say that as a man, but more importantly as a black man, that this country does not deserve black women or black people, but specifically black women.
Are you shocked by that? No, because historically, I'm not shocked by that. That's exactly what Democrats were saying for all of American history. Oh no. The truth. Kind of funny because it's true. But why do you say something like that? Like, why do you make the defining characteristic of people an insignificant trait? People aren't criminals because of the color of their skin, and anyone who thinks that they are, you're ridiculous, you're racist. I got it. You need to grow up and look at the world with a little more of a zoomed out lens there. But this is a guy, you're mayor of a major American city. safe to say you're not being held back. But what does that even mean? We don't deserve black women? We don't deserve black people, but especially black women? What does that even mean? Like they're above us? Like they're so much better than us? Look, some of them are great. Some of them are terrible people. They're not a monolithic block. How can you even talk about a collective group of people based solely on their skin color? You can glean certain traits that make them better or worse than other people. Oh, we just reached the dictionary definition of racist. Because look, racism is a word that's clearly misused over and over and over. The racist in 2025 often means you disagree with a liberal on a topic. You're racist. You don't want Obamacare. You're racist. But the definition of racism is when you believe that certain groups of people, based solely on the color of their skin, have traits that render them better or worse than other people. Now, this is a benevolent form of racism, but when you say black women, we just don't deserve them, you're putting them above the rest of us based not on the content of their character, not on any accomplishment, not on an IQ or a level of wealth or how much they, give to charity or some other metric, just based on the color of their skin. What a wild statement that for it to come out of his mouth and then to not receive universal condemnation for it. Blows my mind.
It is really on my heart this morning to say that as a man, but more importantly as a black man, that this country does not deserve black women or black people, but specifically black women.
Everyone's okay with that? Everyone's okay when someone just says something completely on its face, absolutely racist? All the people that are so concerned about racism. Here's racism. Where's your complaints? Oh, you don't have it? So you're not really concerned about racism if it's against white people or if it's pro-black. You're just concerned about racism. What? If it's anti-black? Or, oh, no, I get it. If it makes Republicans look bad. If it makes America look bad. If it divides us. If it makes people not listen to this station or trust me based solely on the color of my skin, then it's okay. I got it. Just admit it, though. You're racist, and it's ugly, and you can't win arguments based on the merits of your own opinion. You've got to put some sort of emotional invective in there to trick people into what? Hating this country. And my buddy, Joe Exotic, the Tiger King, back on the James Show. First off, welcome back, Joe. Good to have you back.
I appreciate you having me, man.
All right, we only have about 5 minutes here, so let's talk about how the smuggling industrial complex works in the Texas prison system. Now, first off, what kind of prison are you in? You're not in like a supermax prison. Aren't you in a medical facility of some sort?
Yeah, I'm at a medical center here in Fort Worth, Texas. But I've been in the Atlanta Penitentiary in Atlanta, Georgia, the Tallahassee Penitentiary in Tallahassee, Florida, and Butner, North Carolina, where there is no outside. You'd never go outside. And, James, I made it 55 years in the free world without ever seeing heroin, K2, fentanyl, or Suboxone until I came to prison.
That's the wild part, is there's more drugs in prison than outside of prison?
I listen to you every day, and you're the only person that has a talk show that agrees the only way you're going to stop it is make it legal.
Well, you're not going to stop it, so you might as well make it legal. So how are they getting it in? Because we know the old keister trick, but who's doing that?
Well, first of all, what you see on TV and all of the stuff that you hear out in the free world is far from the truth, because there's not enough people coming in and out to stick it up their butt and get that quantity in here.
So now, let me guess, we're relying on corrupt guards?
It was so corrupt in Atlanta, Georgia, they shut that prison down for a couple of years. But we had one here in Fort Worth back in 21 that she didn't even get charged. She just got caught bringing so much in. She shot herself. Just figure you never go outside. There's not an outside to most of these prisons, and there's so many drugs in there. There's only one way it is getting it.
Okay, so how does it work in your facility? Or, I'm sorry, a hypothetical facility that's similar to yours?
Well, a place like mine, we're getting, canceled wreck all the time because people are throwing, stuff over the fence. They're flying in drones, and it really screws up, with the people that go outside, because you get you get punished and you don't get to go outside for several days after they catch a drone or something. But the problem is the Bureau of Prisons, the federal prison system, is the worst because we have federal holdovers, which are county jails with federal contracts, and I've been at 3 of those, and they don't have a drug problem because. Let's use cigarettes real quick. I know we're short on time, but say tobacco, okay, and say there's 160,000 federal inmates, and let's just use 100,000 for quick math, okay, and they smoke 3 cigarettes a week, which costs $13.99 a cigarette, and that's a little cigarette. Say they smoke 3 a week, 100,000 inmates.
This call is from a federal prison.
$200 million a year in illegal tobacco going through the federal prison system. So figure out meth, cigarettes, weed, cell phones, the whole 9 yards. It's $1 billion business, and that's why they can't find guards to keep on the up and up because the money is just too lucrative.
That is so wild. So it sounds like this is evidence that in the drug war, drugs have won, Joe.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I sit and watch TV, all day long watching the news, so I stay up with the world. And they're never going to stop it coming across the ocean, coming across the border when they can't keep it out of a fenced-in federal prison.
Bro, they couldn't keep it out of the White House. And then when they did find the baggie in the White House, they're like, we may never figure out whose baggie this is. We all know it was Hunter's. Like, we all know. Who else was it? It wasn't like your attorney general. It was the guy that we've seen hours of crack smoking with. Right, that's my primary stuff. So when they are infiltrating the prisons all the way to the White House, I mean, at what point does everyone else see the world like you and I see it, Joe Exotic?
I don't know. I listen to your show, and I've listened to a couple of them, the shows where you talk about this, and people call in and say, everybody that does drugs or everybody that sells drugs needs to go to the electric chair or the death chair. Well, you better start with the law enforcement first, because remember, I used to be a police chief, and it was just as bad in the local police department as it is in the feds.
Yeah, well, that's one of the laws of economics. People talk about the theory of socialism or capitalism. It's not a theory. Like the economics is a law. You can try and outlaw something, but if there's a demand for it, some guy with the profit motive is going to provide that service. It's one of the things I'm not too thrilled about the blowing up of cartel boats. I mean, they deserve it. They're terrible people. I get it, but Hunter's not going to miss a line of coke tonight just because you blew up a boat.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because it's going to come in through the border with a crooked agent.
Man, that was amazing. You put some numbers on that. So it's probably easily over $1 billion a year industry.
Easy. Yeah. I mean, in here everything's bought with books of stamps. Book of stamps is $13.60 on the commissary. So you buy, and I see people smoke 4 and 5 a day. But let's just easy math: 3 a week at 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. And that's $200 million a year in just gut tobacco, But why the county jails with federal holdovers don't have a problem with this is they sell e-cigarettes on the commissary. They sell little pouches of chewing tobacco on the commissary. They've learned how to make money, and they don't have to worry about it coming in because they killed the market, the illegal market, because they're selling it on the commissary.
So where are the prisoners getting all this money from? Where are they getting an income?
Out in the world, people in the world.
Just put money in their commissary?
Because, yeah, so take not only the taxpayers are paying, $70 a day, something like that. For me, my medical cost for them is $170 a day to keep me in here. Now, say the taxpayers are paying $170 a day, and then my family is paying my habit, if I had a habit. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's hurting the citizens out there for people to be in here with non-violent drug crimes for 20, 30 years.
All right, you got 20 seconds. Are you getting out of there anytime soon? How's your amnesty pardon going?
We're hoping. The U.S. Attorney's Office at the White House contacted the prison 3 weeks ago and my attorneys, and my clemency is being investigated, and we have hopes.
Well, that sounds a little bit better than last time I talked to you. I want to hear the good news when you finally get out, Joe Exotic. We'll have a party, bud.
This call is from a federal...
All right. That's the Tiger King. I love it when the little lady breaks in. This is from a federal prison. Now we got it. There he was, the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. That's going to do it for the James Show. Stick around. Coming up next, the great one, Mark Levin. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.